Hi, good afternoon. My name is Franklin Peterson. I'm the CEO of Provoking, a consulting business. And today I have Jerry with me, and I have the privilege of sharing some of my thoughts with Jerry and lots of questions about business and specifically startups, entrepreneurship, but also the issues that business leaders tend to struggle with. Jerry, welcome.
Thank you very much, Franklin. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, so we're starting a series of conversations around business, largely because we know that a lot of people out there are struggling to make things work. I've seen so many entrepreneurs who start businesses and struggle through many years on their own. And as I often say, it's a lonely journey.
Sure.
And so what I thought I'll do is to share with you my understanding of why some businesses struggle to succeed, why they fail. And also I want to reflect a little bit about, for those who have no real interest in their own business, but they are employed, whether it's happily employed or not, it's a different topic. But so I just want to reflect on a few concepts and with the community out there, so that we can share with them the kind of things that you need to consider.
Sure.
And so that in the process, as you may be struggling through some stuff, that you're able to just use this video as input to your own thinking, and hopefully it helps. Yeah.
Sounds great.
Fantastic. Yeah. So, we've done some research, and in fact, there's research published around why companies fail. So I'm also a reinvention practitioner. Today I'm not going to talk too much about that. In a follow-up session, we'll talk more about reinvention, because reinvention is really interested in why big companies fail.
Okay.
And the patterns are similar but different. Okay. It deals more with the disruptions that happen, and for big companies to remain successful, what they need to do to actually reinvent themselves continuously.
Oh, wow. Okay.
My interest is more in the South African context. I believe the bigger part of our economy is dependent upon small businesses. And it's dependent on individuals like you and I, who see the opportunities and go out there and try and do something on their own.
Sure.
And in essence, in business language, you say people who are ready to solve a problem, identify a problem and solve a problem. And incidentally, that's an important place to start.
Okay.
A lot of people start companies because they've done it for corporate, professional services. I've seen people from health and safety. I've seen others going from technical services, thinking they can do it on themselves. And often, if they get it right, they can. However, it's always harder than what they thought.
Okay.
And the single biggest reason why companies do not succeed in the early years is something called product market fit. And it's simply the notion that whatever product you have, that in fact you have a market, you have people who are prepared to buy from you at a price that sustains you.
Okay.
What I find often is that we talk to family and friends and they say, yes, go for it. It's a great idea. And when it comes to asking them to not pay, no, but I know you, why must I pay for that? And so that's normally not a very effective way to test product market fit.
Sure.
So whatever we come up with, it's important that we understand what problem you're solving and who you're solving it for. To go out there and to get that validating, whatever that solution is that you might think. It's so important. It's so basic, and yet a lot of us struggle over it.
Okay.
Even for myself, I've made that mistakes in business. I'm an entrepreneur besides being an advisor and a coach. And even in my ranges, we get all excited. We don't want to go out and we want to just in fact, invest a lot of money in building a tech solution or building infrastructure. And it's not always that it works out.
Okay.
So key for anybody who wants to start a business, or anybody who's even wanting to start a new product line in an existing business, is to test and to validate. In other words, find a way to get people to try. So I believe you have a case where you specifically wanted to just check in with you.
Absolutely. So I'm just looking for a little bit of advice. I'm actually assisting a young entrepreneur at the moment.
Excellent.
We're trying to assist. Asking for your assistance in time. She's running a beauty business at the moment where she does nails and eyebrow waxing as a core business services that she offers. Yeah, she's been in the game for about 3 years now. She knows this and she has experienced some success, I think, particularly in the early stages.
Yes.
And at the moment, the business I think is hitting a bit of a lull. There's a bit of a slowdown that she's experienced, and in order to assist her, I'm just looking for ways I could, advise her to try to re-energize or reinvigorate her business, so that she experiences continued success.
Yeah, no, that's interesting. Unfortunately, I'm going to have to ask you some questions to understand the situation, and I hope we can work with that. So, would she be working from a location, or is she traveling to clients?
Sure. So, as the business has been going, she's been servicing clients at their homes.
Okay.
So she goes out and travels.
And when you say it's in the lull at the moment, does that mean that the orders are no longer as frequent, etc.?
So I think it's she's managed to retain customers, core customers, but those orders have slowed down a little bit, and they also I think are acquiring new customers as being quite a challenge.
Yes. So there's a couple of things that come to mind. I would have loved to hear more about the case, but we can work with that.
Sure. Okay.
So typically, in our context, I know it's quite a popular type business, especially for young entrepreneurs, and I think it's excellent when people start with something like that. The big question that any business person will always answer is, why should they come to me for that service?
Okay.
Sometimes they come to you. So firstly, you need to know why they came to you in the first place.
Okay.
And why they're no longer coming to you.
Okay.
And so what I find in business, the biggest mistake out there is securing customer feedback. Often, again, in the moment, we're so excited about the client. We don't want to impose, and we don't want to ask them too many questions. And we're too happy to service them and to help them. And then they disappear. And in that moment, we don't discover how did they get to know about us? Why did they come to us? What do they like about what we do? Is it pure price? Is it service? Is it the colors? Is it the way you talk? Is it the personality? And it's so important for entrepreneurs to understand these things.
Sure.
So customer feedback is probably the most paramount contributor to sustaining business.
Okay.
Because once you understand the why and the what that attracts customers to you, you're able to do more of that. Or in the likely event that they don't actually like everything that you offer, you know where to start.
Sure. You can then focus on changing those things. Okay.
And so a lot of our entrepreneurs come from a very modest background where we've learned to be humble. And we don't want to boast about who we are. And we're just happy for business.
Okay.
And that humility used to be my problem. I fortunately come through years of coaching where I had to learn that modesty doesn't help me or anybody else.
Okay.
And to be faithful in that situation, it's so important that you build a relationship with customers that's grounded in good insights and knowledge.
Sure.
And most customers will tell you if you ask them.
Okay.
The problem is we don't ask.
We don't ask. Sure.
And we're not deliberate about asking and building up a database with obviously just who they are firstly, but secondly also what it is that they like. It's also something that we often lack on.
Okay.
And again, I think it's culture.
Sure.
So I will encourage the entrepreneur to go back into everybody that she served before.
Okay.
If she has a WhatsApp number, an email address, check in.
Sure.
Okay. And obviously, most of the time, we think we need to now go back and offer a discount. And the discount in itself could help, but it's not necessarily the answer.
Okay.
What's more valuable is if they stop coming to me, why?
Okay.
Maybe they discovered there's now somebody else who's also doing it. And often you find, especially I think in that sector, people don't mind coming to the first time because they think it's a good deal, the price, and a lot of customers might just go off the price. You've got to find a way to differentiate yourself.
Okay.
What makes you different? What makes you special? And sometimes it's not just about the price. Sometimes it is about how you listen. In fact, it's always about how you listen.
Okay.
And how you understand. And sometimes it's colors, or it is the way that you engage, it is the way you make the bookings, and not the fact that you do bookings.
Okay.
And so often I find entrepreneurs don't pay attention to those things because those are just things we do, and we don't necessarily pay attention to the relationship.
Sure.
So it's about understanding the difference between a transaction and a relationship.
Okay.
And in any business, building a relationship becomes critical.
Sure.
Then there's something again that it's often undervalued, and that is in any purchase transaction, there's typically 3 reasons why people buy.
Okay.
One of the 3 is an emotional thing, how it makes me feel. And I think in this game, a lot of that is how I feel after I've done my nails and my brows, etc. And how do you enhance that? Okay.
Okay.
Then the next aspect tends to be social. How does it make me look? And how does it make me look? It's not just how it makes me look with my nails are good, but also if I tell my friends I went to this particular place, that in itself is a social connotation.
Okay.
Does it make me a hero, or am I shy to say, or I'm embarrassed to say it was, I went there? And those are the kind of things, again, you need to think
like the social value of this.
So there's emotional value, the social value, and there's a functional value.
Of course.
Okay. And it's about appreciating, am I meeting that functional requirement?
Sure.
So typically I'd assume that your entrepreneur friend meets the functional.
Functionally, yeah.
But I'm not sure whether she pays attention to the emotional and the social.
Okay, cool. That's quite interesting. And how do you, I guess, leverage the emotional and social aspects to enhance your business or improve your offering?
Yeah, and it's a fair question. I think it's about being aware and paying attention. Okay. And then thirdly, as I said, talk to your customers.
Sure.
And when you are in that business, you have the advantage of you're going to spend an hour with a person or 45 minutes.
Exactly.
And just talk about the kids, talk about whatever their hobbies are, but try to use that time to also understand, do you like what I do? Is this something I can do different?
Sure.
You know, or are there items you think you would like to do this?
Yeah.
Simple questions like that tend to then extend the life of your business, as opposed to just being focused on the business.
Absolutely.
Or focus on the execution. And often people are nervous, they're anxious, so I don't want to upset people, I don't want to get. But if you don't do that, that's the beginning of the end for you.
Okay.
Because it's relationships. It's about getting to understand beyond the surface the what and the why. What are you getting out of it?
Sure.
Okay. And also, what are you actually looking for?
Okay.
So if you're able to do that, then you're in a much better position than somebody who's just standing on the street corner asking people to for nails and hair, etc.
No, absolutely.
And so this is a principle that is so important across businesses.
Okay.
And if there is a small business or big business, unless you're able to do it, you're going to struggle.
Yeah, absolutely. And I'm getting from what you're saying that it's important to engage with your customers and kind of get feedback on the customer experience in its entirety. So like YouTube, the booking, all the tiny details of that experience. So then my question is, I guess, how do you effectively use that information? are there better ways to kind of store feedback centrally?
Yeah.
Are there better ways than others of gathering feedback?
Yeah.
Digitally, in person,
Yes,
like you
yes.
said.
So two things. I will encourage any new entrepreneur or business to have a customer relationship database in the CRM.
Yes, you're in.
And there's a lot of them that's free.
Okay.
There are free trial versions online. Some of them you can run from your phone. Okay. So the biggest asset of a business is actually the customer database.
Okay.
And so building your customer database deliberately, and not just because, you want to contact.
Sure.
So it's actually once, you have a number, try to get an email address, or try and find multiple platforms to engage with.
Okay.
I'm a bit old school in some ways, but I've come to realize that I might take WhatsApp and email is the normal way to communicate. Instead, people DM to multiple platforms, right?
Sure.
And again, if I say Facebook, then again, it shows my age. But let's say if we have an Instagram, account and connect at multiple platforms.
Okay.
So that's that. On the other hand, people actually feel good about what they bought if it's validated via a post.
Okay.
Not necessarily about them, but more you recognize out there. So pay attention to putting yourself out there. Again, on the theme of don't be too modest.
Sure.
In the next session, we might spend some time talking about sales funnels and what that means, and really importance of creating awareness. Partly why we've decided to do a podcast is, in fact, creating awareness.
Okay.
And helping people out there understand this is how we work.
Sure.
And this is how we help and guide entrepreneurs. Because often business people, entrepreneurs, you kind of think you're going to figure it out. And if it doesn't work out, you kind of blame yourself. There's an option just to, hey, ask out.
Sure.
Sometimes it's just another perspective. Just having a conversation in which you tease out these kind of things in a conversation.
Sure.
Will reveal so much and helping you from that sense of stuckness and being in a position where you feel that the business is just gone down, etc. Obviously, I'm presupposing that the big stuff you've sorted in terms of who you are, you know why you do what you do, the passion and all that stuff. I'm assuming that's it. And sometimes we need to have those conversations.
Sure, yeah.
But I think just generally assuming that it's a business running for 3 years, there's obviously something about that business that the entrepreneur finds attractive.
Yeah,
okay,
absolutely.
And use that. Use that, but be completely aware of your asset is your customers.
Okay.
And having record of who they are is so important. Then finding a way to keep communicating with them. Even if they have not done their nails with you in 3 months, don't just send them a special. Say, hey, how are you?
Yeah, exactly.
Or this is now the latest what we're doing. Or show, because you have the beauty of the opportunity to take pictures of the nails. Look what I've done for this customer. And in many cases, you'll find that people say, I actually forgot about doing my nails.
Sure.
So little things like that. It's about the engagement, the relationship, and keeping engaged.
Okay.
On let's say a simple business like nails.
Sure.
But these are business principles that come through. And then as entrepreneurs, we've got to pay attention to them.
Okay, lovely. Yeah, I think a lot of entrepreneurs might hit sort of a phase where they say, like you said, they get a bit stuck and they're not sure. So, I think it's an important consideration for them also to who do I turn to, or where do I get the help that I need?
Yes.
So it sounds like you're offering that. And do you think it's useful to have a business mentor from the beginning, or?
Yeah. Absolutely. And again, sometimes it's just the mentor or coach.
Okay.
And the two are a little bit different, but it boils down to the same thing. Make sure that you're not alone.
Okay.
Entrepreneurship is a lonely journey. I've said this before. I've written about it. And I'm saying this not lightheartedly because I understand the difference between an employee and an entrepreneur is that the employee, whether they hate their jobs, they hate their lives, but at the end of the month they get a salary.
Sure.
That entrepreneur, they never know whether they have rent money. Okay. It's as simple as that.
Yeah.
And that is the risk that you carry, that you've exposed yourself to. Obviously, the other big difference with employees is going to flatten out at a certain level. Entrepreneur, the sky is the limit.
Sure.
It's the limit if you follow the right process.
Okay. Okay.
And I encourage people to understand what that right process is for your business.
Sure.
It's genetically the right thing. The principles hold across. It's almost always about customers. But as I said in the beginning, it's about product market fit. It just means that your market is defined. You know who they are. You know why they're buying. You know what they're buying. You know what they're prepared to pay for, whatever you're offering. And it is about understanding that. So in a consulting business or a coaching business, it's hard.
Okay.
Because most of my customers don't believe that they need help. They'd rather suffer inside them.
Wow. Yeah.
You know? And it's completely affordable. You know? In fact, I was going to say, you can't afford not to get help.
Sure.
Because if you get the right help, unfortunately, somebody like me, I've been in business for more than 30 years now, covered so many areas of types of businesses and functions, etc.
Yeah.
And my heart is really to just support people.
Okay.
And obviously make sure that we do it in a way that's dignified. Because a lot of people do have the answers inside.
Okay.
You know, and part of my job is to help them discover it.
Okay.
And in the next podcast or two, I'm going to bring one of my clients in. Who's very excited to share the platform with us. We might use it for Zoom because he's in Joburg. But really, it's the role of a business coach is really to help you discover the truth that you know,
Wow.
but you might not be aware. Okay, because you know your industry, you know your products better than certainly better than me.
Yeah.
However, because we're so close, we sometimes miss something.
Yeah, exactly.
You know, because there's nobody else that can just say, hey, did you consider this? Did you consider it?
Yeah.
And that's what
too close to it.
Exactly. And then sometimes there's real tactical, technical stuff that I get involved in.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, that's not as important to me as really making sure that the entrepreneur comes into their own right.
Exactly.
Achieve that purpose that they've set out for themselves.
Sure.
Achieve the vision, not just in terms of their business, but for their lives. And that's what you want to talk about.
Okay, lovely. Yeah, it sounds like, that helping the entrepreneur maybe just take a sort of a step back.
Yeah.
Try again to look at the bigger picture and the purpose of why they started in first.
And I've got the benefit of spotting these gaps.
Sure.
Because I know what I'm looking for.
Yeah.
And I know what needs to be present to be successful.
Yeah, that's experience. So don't be dwelling yourself.
Yeah, absolutely.
That experience is invaluable too. Yeah.
Jerry, thanks, and I hope that was helpful.
Absolutely. Thanks so much for chatting to me.
You're welcome. Thanks.